Hey guys, Az here at Shield Canine. How do I introduce my new baby to the family dogs? I have a simple answer to that very complicated question. Here's the thing you have to understand with small children and dogs. A lot of dogs tend to view small children the same way they would view other dogs. I've seen it so many times now that there's no other way to explain it. Because the children are on their level, because the children don't move like us and they're often a little bit erratic, they tend to view small children the same exact way that they would view another dog. Now, depending on your dog, that could be a good thing, a bad thing, or maybe a good and bad thing. If you ever watch how dogs treat one another, they're not always the nicest with each other. They bring the dogs in, okay, smell the baby, that kind of stuff. I have never once done that. If anything, so the baby has this little bouncer, and the dogs know that they are never to touch him. They're not to step on him. They can be around him, but they are not to touch him because I don't want them, accidentally hurting him. He's obviously very young and he's very small. It's really important that, everybody be smart about how everything is being organized and structured in the home. So I don't introduce small children like this to dogs. I don't say, hey bud, hey Gage, hey Dizzy, come over and smell the baby. I simply teach them to respect his space. And that's really big. Now, by the time he's a year old, they're not even gonna think twice. And of course, just as with my older son, I'm not gonna allow him to do certain things. I don't put my dogs in situations where they could fail. And the same with my children, okay? So introducing small children to dogs, they're not allowed to be excited around my kids because that's where things can happen. The dog can accidentally knock the child over, bulldoze the kid, all that type of stuff. There's so many things that can happen. So the best way to introduce your dog to your kids is to not make a deal out of it. At this age, there's really next to no interaction that needs to be happening as far as I'm concerned. They're there, they share the space with one another. It's a structured kind of environment and they just really get used to being around each other over, a few months. And by the time this little guy's mobile, it's not gonna be a big deal for them. The biggest issue I see with children and dogs is resource guarding. Because listen, kids are silly. They'll crawl on that bed and try to take that bone from that dog. That's gonna trigger, the dog's competitive instinct, especially if she perceives, like, obviously I'm different. I can be right here and it's not gonna be an issue. But if another dog did that, that would be considered very rude in dog language. I don't allow them to do that to each other. If he tried to go and steal that bone from her, I would discipline him. So if I allow my little guy here to start crawling up on that bed, am I gonna be surprised if something goes wrong? Of course not, because at this age, he is no bigger than like a medium to small dog. And these guys are relatively large. So obviously I'm not gonna set him up for failure and I'm not gonna set them up for failure. So guys, understand when we brought this baby home, I literally made no deal out of it. There was no deal. Hey, there's a baby now. That's it. You have to respect his space. That's it. If they tried to go and see him right away, I'd be like, no. Go. Thanks for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment below, and check out our online training that we have on the website, shieldcanine.ca.